October 1958. Texas Panhandle. A woman stands alone in her own yard while strangers gather to take everything she owns. 320 acres. 16 years of work. One daughter. No money. No way out. The auctioneer's hammer is already raised. Behind her, pickup trucks line the dirt road like vultures circling something dying. In front of her, a man from Dallas waits to buy her home for half what the bank claims she owes. Everyone knows what happens next. Everyone's seen it before, except she steps forward, opens her mouth, bids $100 she doesn't have. The crowd goes silent because you don't do that. You don't fight when you've already lost. You don't stand in front of 60 witnesses and bet everything on nothing. But she does. And at the far edge of the road, a stranger in a green truck sees it. Sees something no one else is looking for. 10 seconds from now, everything changes. 5 seconds. 3. This is the story of the day Catherine Clark refused to disappear. October 18, 1958. Potter County, Texas. The woman in the blue dress stood at her bedroom window and watched strangers park in her yard. Catherine Clark, 54 years old, white. Hair pulled back so tight it made her temples ache. The dress hung loose now. Too loose. 8 months of skipped meals would do that. She pressed her palm flat against the glass as cold. Outside, pickup trucks lined the dirt road like a funeral procession. Except the dead woman was still breathing, still had to watch. The door behind her creaked. Rachel's voice, small and 12 and terrified. "Mama, they're coming." Kate didn't turn around. Couldn't. If she looked at her daughter right now, she'd crack wide open. And there'd be nothing left to hold this day together. She pulled in one breath. 2. Smoothed the fabric over her hips though it wouldn't smooth. Thomas bought this dress in 1950, said the color matched her eyes when she smiled. She hadn't smiled in months, wondered if the color still matched, or if grief had changed even that. "Mama." "I know, baby." She turned. Rachel stood in the doorway, wearing her father's canvas work jacket. Sleeves rolled 3 times and still too long. Brown hair tangled, face pale, eyes too old for 12. Kate crossed the room, reached for her daughter's hand, found it ice cold despite the October heat already climbing outside. "We'll get through this." Rachel's chin trembled. "How?" Kate had no answer. So she squeezed once, hard, then let go, and walked past her daughter, and down the narrow hallway of the house she'd built with her own hands 16 years ago. Every step an argument with memory. Thomas carried the first load of lumber through that door in July 1942. Kate mixed concrete in a bucket while he hammered. The walls went up in August, the roof in September. They moved in before winter with no electricity, and a wood stove that smoked so bad they slept with the windows open even when it snowed. Now strangers would own it by noon. Kate pushed open the screen door, stepped onto the porch. The hinges squealed. Needed oil. Thomas always kept them oiled. Thomas was dead. The yard spread before her. 320 acres of wheatland rolling north toward the Oklahoma border. Dirt road cutting through the middle. The windmill rising 40 feet into a sky so blue it hurt to look at. And everywhere, everywhere. Cars. Gary Young's red flatbed truck sat closest to the house. The auctioneer climbed down from the cab with a wooden crate in his arms. 60 years old. Face like dried leather. Voice like gravel. He'd sold 60 farms this year, and every single one of them made him feel like he was burying his own mother. Kate knew because he'd told her that last week when he came to catalog her belongings. Behind Gary's truck, a black sedan, polished to a mirror shine. The bank's logo stenciled on the door in gold letters. Edward Wright stepped out. Glasses, gray suit. Briefcase clutched against his chest like a shield. He saw Kate on the porch, looked away fast. Good. She didn't want his pity. Further back, clustered near the road, the neighbors stood in small groups. Men in clean Saturday shirts, hats in their hands. Women in church dresses even though it wasn't Sunday. They spoke in low voices, glanced toward the porch, away, toward, away. Nobody would meet her eyes. Kate's jaw tightened. She wanted to shout at them. "You know me. You've known me for 16 years. You ate at my table. I sewed your children's clothes. And now, you're here to watch me lose everything and you can't even look at me." But shouting wouldn't change anything. Another car arrived, sleek, black. Lincoln Continental. It slid to a stop near the barn and a man emerged. Donald Harris, 48 years old, Dallas. Cattle and land empire built on the backs of widows who couldn't pay their debts. Vest the color of smoke. Hat like cream. He surveyed the property with the expression of a man evaluating livestock. Kate's hands curled into fists. Harris had been to the farm once before. September. Drove past slowly while she was repairing fence posts in the south pasture. Didn't stop, didn't speak. Just watched her work for 5 minutes, then drove away. She understood what that meant. He was measuring her, deciding if she'd break. Now he stood beside his car and smiled. Not at Kate, at the land, at the house, at the windmill, at the 320 acres he'd owned for a fraction of what they were worth. Rachel's hand found Kate's elbow. "Mama, that's him, isn't it?" "Yes. What do we do?" Kate pulled her gaze away from Harris, looked at her daughter, saw Thomas in the shape of her nose, in the stubborn set of her mouth, in the way she refused to cry even though her eyes were wet. "We stand here. We don't hide. We don't give him the satisfaction." Rachel nodded, swallowed hard, straightened her spine, 12 years old, and already learning how to fight without throwing a punch. Kate turned back to the yard. More cars now. 40, 50. The entire county had turned out to watch Catherine Clark lose her home. No, not watch, bear witness, because this wasn't entertainment. This was a cautionary tale. This was what happened when a woman thought she could run a farm alone. When she thought work and determination would be enough. They were wrong. It wasn't enough. But Kate would be damned if she'd let them see her fall apart. She descended the porch steps, Rachel beside her. They crossed the yard together and stopped near the windmill where the ground was high enough to see over the crowd. Gary Young climbed onto the flatbed, opened his crate, pulled out a hammer, a ledger, a stack of papers bound with string. The crowd quieted. Edward Wright positioned himself beside the truck. Briefcase open now. Calculator visible. Pen clicking, clicking, clicking. And at the far edge of the gathering, near the road where the dirt turned to gravel, a truck pulled onto the shoulder. Kate noticed it only because everything else had stilled. The truck was old, faded green, dust thick on the windshield. It idled for a moment, then the engine cut. A man climbed out, tall, broad through the shoulders, tan Stetson, sunglasses, light beard, canvas jacket the color of wheat stubble. He didn't approach, just leaned against the front fender and crossed his arms. Rachel whispered, "Who's that?" Kate shook her head. "I don't know, but something about the way he stood, the way he didn't hurry, the way he seemed to be waiting rather than watching. It made her chest tighten in a way that wasn't entirely dread." Gary Young cleared his throat, lifted the hammer, brought it down once on the flatbed with a sound like a gunshot. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're here this morning for the auction of property belonging to the estate of Thomas Clark. 320 acres, house, barn, equipment, water rights, to be sold to satisfy outstanding debt to First National Bank of Amarillo." His voice carried across the yard, flat, practiced, empty of everything except procedure. Kate felt Rachel's hand slip into hers. She squeezed. Gary continued, "Current debt stands at $10,400. Bidding will remain open until no further offers are received. All sales final. Cash or certified check required within 48 hours. He paused. "Scan the crowd now. Before we begin, I want to say something." The clicking pen stilled. "I've been doing this job 32 years. I don't like it. Never have. But it's the job. And today it's my job to sell this property." Another pause. Longer. "Mrs. Clark has farmed this land for 16 years. Raised her daughter here. Buried her husband here. She worked harder than most men I know. And she deserves better than what's about to happen." Kate's throat closed. "But the law is the law. And the bank is the bank. So we proceed." Gary lifted a single sheet of paper, read from it in that same flat voice. 320 acres of wheatland, 40 feet to water. Windmill operational. House approximately 1,200 square feet. Barn, equipment shed. All structures included in sale. He lowered the paper. "Who'll give me an opening bid?" Silence. The kind that pressed down like a physical weight. Kate looked at the faces around her. Stephen Moore, Richard Anderson. Men who'd borrowed Thomas's equipment, who'd helped with harvest when the hired hands quit, who'd attended his funeral and left money in envelopes on the kitchen table. Not one of them moved, because there was a rule. Unwritten but iron. You didn't bid against a widow on her own land. You didn't take a woman's home while she stood there watching. Gary knew it. "Come on, folks. Good land, good water, fair price, nothing." Edward Wright shifted his weight. Briefcase lid snapped shut, then open again. And from the back of the crowd, Donald Harris raised one finger off his belt buckle. 6,000. The words landed like stones in still water. Murmurs rippled through the gathering. Heads turned. Eyes narrowed. 6,000. The debt was 10,400, which meant the bank would lose $4,400. Kate would get nothing. Harris would acquire 320 acres of prime Texas panhandle wheat land for the price of a good tractor. Kate's vision tunneled. She heard Rachel's sharp inhale beside her, felt Shirley Allen step closer on her left, Carol Mitchell on her right. Two women who'd buried their own husbands, who'd fought their own battles with banks and auctioneers and men like Donald Harris. Gary Young's voice. I have $6,000. Silence. 6,000 once. Kate's heart slammed against her ribs. This was it. This was the moment. In 10 seconds she'd have no home, no land, no way to provide for Rachel. They'd pack what they could carry and leave, and she had no idea where they'd go or how they'd survive. 6,000 twice. Gary raised the hammer, and Kate stepped forward, not toward the truck, toward the center of the yard where everyone could see her. Wait. Gary's hand froze mid-swing. 60 pairs of eyes swiveled. Kate walked until she stood 10 feet from the flatbed. Close enough that Gary had to look down at her. Close enough that the entire crowd could hear every word. Her voice came out steady, stronger than she felt. I'll bid. Gary blinked. Mrs. Clark? $100. A sound moved through the crowd. Not quite a gasp. Not quite a murmur. Something between shock and confusion. Edward Wright's pen clattered to the ground. Gary stared at her. Mrs. Clark. I have $100. He didn't ask if she had the money. Didn't need to. Everyone here knew she didn't have $100. Didn't have $10. Barely had enough for next week's groceries. But she'd said it anyway, because she was done being silent. Done standing on the sidelines while men decided her fate. Donald Harris turned. Really looked at her for the first time. His expression didn't change, but something flickered behind his eyes. Surprise maybe, or annoyance. He raised his hand again. 7,000. Kate didn't hesitate. 7,001. Whispers now, louder. More urgent, she's bidding on her own farm. She doesn't have the money. What's she doing? Rachel's voice behind her. Small, scared. Mama. Kate didn't turn around, kept her gaze locked on Harris. Harris's jaw worked side to side. You don't have 7,000, Mrs. Clark. You don't know what I have. The bank knows. You're short by over 3,000. Then you should bid higher. Or are you scared a woman might outbid you? The crowd went dead silent. Harris's face flushed. Hands clenched at his sides. For a moment, Kate thought he might walk over. Might say something that would force this into territory beyond auction protocol. But he didn't. He just smiled. Cold. Calculated. 8,000. Kate opened her mouth, and a voice from the back of the yard cut through the air like a blade. 11,000. Every head whipped around. The stranger near the green truck had straightened, one hand raised. Casual. Easy. Like he'd done this 1,000 times. Gary Young squinted down the road. Sir, could you repeat that? The man pushed off the fender, took 3 steps closer. Not enough to join the crowd. Just enough to be seen clearly. $11,000. Gary's papers fluttered in his hands. And you are? The stranger didn't answer. Just stood there, sunglasses hiding his eyes, beard hiding half his face. Donald Harris turned fully now. Studied the man. Tried to place him. Failed. Who are you? Harris demanded. Still no answer. Harris's voice went sharp. I asked who you are. The stranger's mouth curved slightly. Not quite a smile. A buyer. Kate felt something shift in her chest. Not hope. Not yet. But something close. Something that made her pulse quicken and her breath catch. Harris turned back to Gary. 12,000, the stranger. 13, 14, 15. The numbers came fast. Clipped. Each one a hammer blow. The crowd pressed closer. Voices rising. Excitement and confusion and disbelief tangling together. Kate's knees threatened to buckle. Rachel's arms came around her waist from behind, holding her up or holding on. Maybe both. Donald Harris's face had gone from flushed to pale. His hand hovered in the air, shaking slightly. 15,000. That was 5,000 more than the debt. 5,000 more than the land was worth in a bad year. And this had been a bad year. Harris knew it. Gary knew it. Everyone here knew it. Which meant the stranger wasn't bidding for profit. He was bidding for something else. Gary Young found his voice. I have $15,000. From the gentleman on the road, he looked at Harris. Sir? Harris stared at the stranger. His jaw worked. Hands opened and closed. Finally, he dropped his arm. I'm out, he said it loud. Like he'd decided to quit rather than being forced out. Nobody believed him. Gary lifted the hammer again. slower this time. Like he was trying to understand what had just happened. 15,000 once. Kate turned, looked at the stranger. He'd taken off his sunglasses now, hooked them on his jacket collar. Blue eyes, lines at the corners from squinting into sun. Face weathered but not old, 50 maybe. Or a hard 45. 15,000 twice. Their eyes met across the yard, and Kate saw something there. Something that made her chest ache and her throat tighten. Recognition, not of her face, of her situation. Of what this day meant and what it would cost and why she'd stood up and bid $100 she didn't have. The hammer came down, sold. For $15,000, the sound echoed off the barn, off the house, off the windmill. And in that echo, Kate felt the ground tilt beneath her. The farm was gone. Rachel's arms tightened. Mama. What just happened? Kate didn't know. Couldn't process it. The stranger walked toward them. Not fast, not slow, just steady. The crowd parted without being asked. He stopped 5 feet away. Kate's voice came out rough. Raw. I can't let you do this. His eyebrows lifted. Ma'am, this is my home, my land. If someone's buying it, it should be me, not a stranger. Silence stretched between them. Then he nodded once. I understand that, Mrs. Clark. Her name in his mouth startled her. She hadn't told him her name, but of course he knew. Everyone here knew. Then why did you bid? She asked. Because you needed time. Time for what? Time to decide if you wanted to keep fighting. Kate's hands trembled. She clenched them into fists. I've been fighting for 8 months, I know. And you haven't stopped. That's why I'm here, Rachel's voice, small but fierce. Who are you? The stranger looked down at her. Something softened in his expression. Someone who knows what your daddy did, what he gave. Kate's breath caught. You knew Thomas? No, ma'am. But I know what men like him gave, and I know what that means. He turned back to Kate. Your husband served this country. Came home, built this place, raised a family. That's worth more than $15,000. That's worth making sure his wife and daughter don't lose what he built. Kate shook her head. I don't understand. Why would you? You don't even know us. I don't need to know you deserve better than what almost happened here. Donald Harris had moved closer, listening. His face tight with anger and something else. Humiliation, maybe. He addressed the stranger. That's a lot of money for sentiment. The stranger glanced at him. It's my money. Nobody spends $15,000 on sentiment. I do. Harris opened his mouth, closed it, walked away. Gary Young climbed down from the flatbed, approached with papers in hand. Sir, I need a name for the paperwork. The stranger reached into his jacket, pulled out a wallet. From it, he extracted a business card and handed it to Gary. Gary read it. His eyes went wide. Mr. Morrison? The stranger nodded. Gary looked at Kate. At the card, at the stranger, you're... Wait. Are you? Just write it down, Mr. Young. Gary's hands shook as he wrote. Kate's mind spun. Morrison. The name meant nothing to her. Gary finished writing, looked up. And the buyer's name, sir? The stranger's gaze shifted back to Kate, Catherine Clark. The world tilted again. Kate's voice came out barely above a whisper. What put Catherine Clark as the buyer? Gary's pen stopped moving. Sir, you're the one paying, I'm paying. She's receiving. No loan, no conditions, no payback. Kate shook her head, stepped back. I can't accept that. Why not? Because I don't take charity. The stranger's expression didn't change. This isn't charity, Mrs. Clark. Then what is it? He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was lower, softer. I had a friend, died in the Pacific, December 1944. He wrote me letters about his farm back in Nebraska, about his wife, about building something after the war. He paused. He never made it home, never got to build anything. Your husband did. He came back. He built this place. He raised that girl. He gestured to Rachel. That's not something you walk away from. That's something you fight for. Even when the fight looks impossible. Kate's eyes burned. I don't know you. You don't need to. I don't even know your name. My name's not important. Gary cleared his throat, still holding the pen. Actually, sir, for the legal paperwork. I do need your full name. The stranger sighed, reached for the card in Gary's hand, pointed to a line of text. Gary read it aloud without meaning to. Marion Morrison. The name hung in the air. Someone in the crowd gasped. Then another, voices rising. Faster now. Wait. Morrison. Marion Morrison, that's. Is that? Shirley Allen's hand found Kate's shoulder. Squeezed hard, Kate looked at the stranger. At Marion Morrison. At the weathered face and the blue eyes and the hat and the jacket, and the pieces clicked together. Gary Young's voice shook when he spoke again. Mr. Wayne? The stranger. Marion. John Wayne closed his eyes briefly, like he'd hoped to avoid this moment. When he opened them, he looked at Kate. "Just write the paperwork, Mr. Young. I've got a picture to make in New Mexico, and I'd like to get on the road." But Kate wasn't listening anymore. Her mind had whited out, static and shock and disbelief crashing together. John Wayne, the movie star. The man whose face she'd seen on posters outside the theater in Amarillo. The man who played soldiers and cowboys and heroes. He'd just bought her farm and given it to her. Rachel's voice. Hi, amazed, Mama. "That's John Wayne." Kate couldn't speak. John Wayne looked at her daughter. "Your mama did this, not me." She stood up when everyone expected her to fall. She bid when she had nothing. "That's courage, that's strength. I just helped with the paperwork." He turned back to Gary. "Write it. Catherine Clark, buyer, no conditions. I'll have my lawyer wire the money by Monday morning," Gary wrote. Hand shaking so badly the letters came out jagged. When he finished, he tore the sheet from the ledger. Held it out, not to John Wayne, to Kate. She took it. The paper crinkled in her grip. At the top in Gary's shaky handwriting, buyer, Catherine Clark. Below that, purchase deed and conveyed at no charge by request of Marion Morrison. Kate looked up. Met John Wayne's eyes. "Why?" "Because your husband earned it. Because you earned it. Because that girl deserves to grow up on the land her father built." Kate's throat closed. Words wouldn't come. Rachel stepped around her mother, looked up at John Wayne. "What's your name? Your real name?" He smiled slightly. "You just heard it, I mean. What should we call you? You don't need to call me anything. I'm leaving." "Wait," Rachel's voice cracked. "I want to remember. I want to tell people." "Who did this?" John Wayne crouched down, eye level with the 12-year-old girl in her father's too big jacket. "You tell them your mama did it. You tell them she fought when everyone said she'd lose. You tell them she didn't quit. That's the story." "Not me." He stood, nodded once to Kate, turned, and walked back toward the green truck. The crowd watched in silence. He climbed in, started the engine. It coughed once, then caught. He backed onto the road, shifted, drove south toward Amarillo. Dust rose behind the truck, hung in the air, thinned, disappeared. Kate stood in her yard, paper in her hand, Rachel beside her. Shirley and Carol close enough to catch her if she fell. She looked down at the paper again. Catherine Clark, her name, her land, her home. Rachel's arms came around her waist. "Mama, we're okay, right?" Kate pulled her daughter close, pressed her face into Rachel's hair. And for the first time since February, since the morning she found Thomas cold in the north pasture, since the moment her world had ended, Kate cried, not from grief, from something too big to name. Relief maybe, or gratitude, or the breaking open of 8 months of pressure finally released. The crowd began to disperse. Engine started. Cars pulled away. Voices murmured, but Kate didn't hear the words. She just held her daughter and let the tears come. Eventually the yard emptied. Only Shirley and Carol remained, Shirley's hand on Kate's shoulder. "Come inside. Let's sit down." Kate nodded. Couldn't trust her voice yet. They walked to the house. Up the porch steps, through the door that squealed, into the kitchen where Thomas had drunk his coffee every morning for 16 years. Carol put the kettle on. Shirley pulled out chairs. Rachel sat close to her mother. Kate looked at the paper still clutched in her hand. Read it again and again. Shirley spoke quietly. "What are you thinking?" Kate didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice came out hoarse. "I'm thinking I need to call Edward Wright. Make sure this is legal. Make sure it's real." "It's real," Carol said. "Gary Young doesn't write fake documents." "I'm thinking I need to understand what just happened." Shirley leaned forward. "What happened is you fought, and someone saw that. Someone believed you deserved a chance." Kate shook her head. "John Wayne. Why would John Wayne care about a farm in Texas? Does it matter?" "Yes, it matters. People don't do things like this for no reason. Maybe he's just a good man. Nobody's that good." Rachel spoke up. "He said he had a friend who died. In the war. Who wanted to farm." Kate looked at her daughter. "He did say that, so maybe. Maybe this is for his friend. Not for us." The kettle whistled. Carol poured water into cups, set them on the table. Kate wrapped her hands around the warmth. "I don't know what to do now." Shirley smiled. Small but genuine. "You do what you've been doing. You work the land. You raise your daughter. You keep going. It doesn't feel real. It will. Give it time." Kate sipped the tea. Too hot, but she didn't care. Rachel leaned against her side. "Are we really going to be okay?" Kate set the cup down, wrapped her arm around her daughter's shoulders. "Yes, baby. We're going to be okay. She said it with more certainty than she felt. But Rachel needed to hear it, needed to believe it. And maybe if Kate said it enough times, she'd believe it too. Outside the window, the windmill turned in the wind. The same wind that had blown across this land for 1,000,000 years would blow for 1,000,000 more, and now it would blow across land that belonged to Catherine Clark. Not the bank, not Donald Harris. Catherine Clark, the woman who'd stood in her yard and bid $100 she didn't have, who'd faced down a room full of people and refused to be silent, who'd fought when everyone expected her to fall. John Wayne was wrong about one thing. He said she'd done this, but she hadn't. They'd done it together, her and a stranger in a green truck who'd seen something in her worth saving. Or maybe he'd seen something in Thomas worth honoring. Either way, she was still here, still standing. And tomorrow she'd wake up in this house and walk out into those fields and start again. Because that's what you did when you survived the unsurvivable. You kept going, one day at a time, one breath at a time, until the broken pieces started to fit back together into something that looked like a life. Kate finished her tea, set the cup down, looked at the women across from her. Thank you for being here, for standing with me. Shirley waved a hand. We're neighbors. That's what neighbors do. It's more than that. Then we're friends. And that's what friends do. Carol nodded. You'd do the same for us. Kate knew they were right. Would have done the same. Had done the same in smaller ways over the years. But knowing didn't make the gratitude any less real. The afternoon light slanted through the window. Golden. Warm. Outside, a truck passed on the road. Probably heading into town. Probably someone who'd been at the auction. Who'd seen what happened. Who'd go home and tell the story to anyone who'd listen. By tomorrow, the whole county would know. Catherine Clark kept her farm. John Wayne bought it for her. Gave it to her. No strings, no conditions. The story would grow with each telling. Details added, embellished, changed, but the core would remain. A woman stood up when everyone expected her to fall. And someone saw that. Someone helped Kate stood, walked to the counter, looked at the paper one more time. Then she folded it carefully, placed it in the drawer beside the sink, where she'd see it every day, where it would remind her she'd fought and won. Monday morning arrived with the kind of clarity that made Kate's head ache. She stood at the kitchen sink, coffee in hand, staring at the drawer where she'd placed the folded paper 2 days ago. The house felt different, not structurally, not visibly, but different. Like the walls knew they weren't being torn down. Like the foundation understood it could settle deeper instead of bracing abandonment. Rachel's footsteps on the stairs. Light. Quick, Mama. The phone's ringing. Kate set down her cup, crossed to the hallway. Lifted the receiver, Mrs. Clark? Edward Wright's voice. Formal. Clipped. Yes. The wire transfer came through this morning. 9:02. $15,000. From a Marion Morrison in Los Angeles. I've applied it to your loan. The balance is now 0. Kate's knees went soft. She leaned against the wall. 0. Yes, ma'am. Your property is free and clear. I'll have the lien release documents ready by Wednesday. You'll need to come in and sign. Wednesday. 3 days from now, I'll be there, Mrs. Clark. I want to say, what happened on Saturday? That was. I've been in banking 23 years and I've never seen anything like it. Kate didn't respond. Didn't know what to say. Edward continued. You earned this. I hope you know that. The way you stood up. The way you fought. That took real courage. Thank you. She hung up before he could say more. Her hand trembled on the receiver. Zell. No debt. No payments. No threat hanging over every decision. Rachel appeared in the doorway. What did he say? The money came. The loans paid. Rachel's face split into a smile so wide it made Kate's chest hurt. Really? It's really real? It's real. Rachel rushed forward. Wrapped her arms around Kate's waist. Squeezed hard. Kate held her daughter. Breathed in the smell of sleep and youth and hope. And for the first time in 8 months, she let herself believe they might actually survive this. Tuesday brought rain. Not the soft drizzle that nourished winter wheat. The hard, slanting kind that turned dirt to mud and made fieldwork impossible. Kate stood on the porch, watched water pour off the roof in sheets, the windmill barely visible through the downpour. Shirley Allen's truck pulled up, engine idling. Shirley leaned out the window. Get in. We're going to town. Kate hesitated. It's pouring, I know. That's why we're going now. While you can't work. While you have to think about something other than that land. I don't need to go to town. Yes, you do. You need to show your face. Let people see you. Let them know you're still here, Kate wanted to argue. But Shirley was right. The whole county had seen her almost lose everything. They needed to see she'd survived. She grabbed her coat, told Rachel to stay inside, ran to the truck. Shirley drove fast, windshield wipers beating a rhythm that matched Kate's pulse. They didn't speak until they hit the outskirts of Amarillo. Then Shirley broke the silence. Carol told me Donald Harris left town yesterday. Kate's head turned. Left, packed his car, drove back to Dallas, told his assistant he wouldn't be coming back to Potter County for a while. Why? Shirley smiled grimly. Because every person in that yard on Saturday saw him try to steal your farm for $6,000, saw him get outbid by a movie star, saw him walk away with nothing but his dignity in tatters. Kate processed this. Good, more than good. He won't be buying any more farms around here. Not for a long time. People won't forget what he tried to do. They pulled into town, parked outside Carol Mitchell's dress shop. The rain had eased to a drizzle. Inside the shop smelled like fabric and lavender. Carol looked up from her sewing machine, smiled. There she is. Kate shrugged off her coat. Shirley insisted. Shirley's smart. Carol stood, crossed to a rack in the back, pulled out a dress, navy blue, simple cut. Good fabric, I made this last month. For a client who never picked it up. It's your size, take it. Kate shook her head. I can't pay for that. I'm not asking you to pay. I'm giving it to you, Carol. Kate, you need something nice. Something that fits. Something that doesn't hang off you like a sack. Carol's voice softened. You're not invisible anymore. People are going to be watching, talking. You need to look like a woman who won. Not a woman who's still losing. The words hit harder than they should have, because Carol was right. The blue dress Kate wore on Saturday had been swallowing her alive. Every photograph, every glance, every memory would show a woman drowning in fabric. She took the dress, held it against herself. Carol nodded. Perfect. Now, let's get lunch. They ate at the diner on Main Street. The same diner Kate had avoided for 8 months because she couldn't afford more than coffee. Today Shirley paid, refused to let Kate even reach for her purse. They ordered chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes, green beans. Food that tasted like something other than worry and exhaustion. Halfway through the meal, a woman approached their table. Patricia Wilson, secretary at the Methodist Church. 3 kids. Husband at the grain elevator. Mrs. Clark, I just wanted to say, what happened on Saturday? That was something special. Kate swallowed a bite of potatoes. Thank you. My husband and I were there. We saw everything. The way you stood up to that awful man from Dallas. The way you didn't back down. You made us proud. Patricia's eyes welled. My mama lost her farm in 1935. Bank took it. She didn't fight. Just packed up and left. I always wondered what would have happened if she'd stood her ground. She placed a hand on Kate's shoulder. Squeezed. You showed us it's possible. Thank you for that. She walked away before Kate could respond. Carol leaned forward. That's going to keep happening. People need to tell you, need you to know what it meant to them. Kate pushed food around her plate. I didn't do it for them. Doesn't matter. You did it. And they saw. That's enough. They finished eating, paid, walked outside into drizzle that had turned to mist. Across the street, a man in a suit stood beside a black sedan. Watching them, not Edward Wright. Someone else. Younger, briefcase in hand. He crossed the street, approached carefully. Like he wasn't sure of his welcome, Mrs. Clark. Kate tensed. Yes, my name is Martin Keller. I'm an attorney with Loeb & Loeb in Los Angeles. I represent Mr. Morrison. Kate's stomach dropped. Here it comes. The catch, the condition. The thing that made this all too good to be true. Martin seemed to sense her fear, held up both hands. I'm not here to take anything from you. I'm here to make sure the property transfer is handled correctly. Transfer. Mr. Morrison instructed me to fly out and oversee the legal paperwork, to ensure your name goes on the deed. No liens, no encumbrances, no conditions. His briefcase pulled out a folder, handed it to Kate. She opened it. Read, legal language dense as fog. But the meaning clear. Catherine Clark, sole owner, free and clear. This is. He really meant it. Martin nodded. Mr. Morrison was very specific. You were to receive the property with no strings attached, no repayment clause, no conditions of any kind. Kate looked up, met his eyes. Why? Martin's expression softened. I asked him the same thing. He told me he had a friend who died in the war, who never got to come home and build the life he wanted. He said your husband did get to come home, did get to build something, and that deserved to be protected. The mist turned to rain again. They stood under the awning, water drumming on canvas above their heads. Kate's voice came out rough. "I don't know how to thank him. He doesn't want thanks. He wants you to keep the farm running. Keep your daughter safe, that's all." Martin closed his briefcase. "I'll be in town through Friday, coordinating with the county clerk, making sure everything's filed properly. If you need anything at all. Here's my card." He handed her a business card, cream-colored, embossed letters. Then he walked back to his sedan. Drove away. Shirley let out a breath. "Well, that answers that." Kate stared at the folder in her hands. "He really did it. No catch. No hidden clause. Told you he was a good man." Carol wiped rain from her face. "Come on, let's get you home before this gets worse." Wednesday, Kate drove to the county clerk's office. Martin Keller met her there. So did Edward Wright. And Gary Young. They signed papers for 2 hours. Transfer of title. Release of lien. Affidavit of ownership. Kate's hand cramped by the end, but every signature felt like laying another brick in a foundation that wouldn't crumble. When it was done, Gary handed her a document sealed with a gold stamp. "Congratulations, Mrs. Clark. You're officially the sole owner of 320 acres in Potter County." Kate held the document like it might dissolve. "Thank you," Gary smiled. Tired but genuine. "I've been doing this job a long time, and I've never been happier to sell a property. Even though I technically didn't sell it." Martin shook her hand. "My work here is done. If you ever need anything, legal advice, help with contracts, call me. No charge." "Why would you do that?" "Because Mr. Morrison asked me to make sure you were taken care of. And I keep my promises." He left. Edward stayed. "Mrs. Clark, I want you to know, the bank, we're not the enemy. We have rules, procedures. But I'm glad this turned out the way it did." Kate met his eyes. "You were just doing your job." "I was. But that doesn't mean I liked it." He extended his hand. She shook it. Drove home with the deed on the seat beside her. Pulled into the yard. Sat in the truck for 10 minutes, just breathing, just existing in a world where she owned land and owed nothing. Rachel came out. Climbed into the passenger seat. "Did you get it?" Kate handed her the deed. Rachel read. Traced the words with her finger. "Catherine Clark. Owner." "Yes. Are we really going to be okay now?" Kate looked at her daughter. 12 years old. Too thin, too scared. But still here. Still fighting. "We're going to be more than okay. We're going to thrive." She said it with such certainty that Rachel believed her. And maybe, just maybe, Kate believed it too. Thursday, Kate woke before dawn. Dressed in work clothes. Made coffee. Rachel stumbled into the kitchen. Eyes half closed. "Where are you going?" "To check the fields. See what needs to be done. It's still dark. That's when farmers start." Rachel grabbed a jacket. "I'm coming with you." They walked out together. The air cold. Clear, fading as the eastern horizon turned gray. The wheat stubble crunched under their boots. Kate knelt, ran her hands through the soil. Dry, loose, ready for winter planting. She stood, looked across the 320 acres. Hers now, really hers. Rachel's voice broke the silence. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking we need to plant by the end of the month. I'm thinking we need to fix the irrigation line in the south quarter. I'm thinking we need to hire help for harvest." "That's a lot of thinking." Kate smiled. "That's what farmers do." They walked the perimeter, checked fences, noted weak posts, planned repairs. By the time they returned to the house, the sun had fully risen, gold light spilling across the land. Shirley's truck pulled up. Carol's sedan behind it. Both women climbed out, work clothes, gloves. Determined expression. Shirley spoke first. "We're here to help plant." Kate shook her head. "I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. We're volunteering," Carol added. "You helped us when we needed it. Now it's our turn." Kate's throat tightened. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes. Say let's get to work. Say thank you after we're done." Richard Anderson's truck appeared next. Then Stephen Moore's. Both men climbed out with equipment in the truck beds. Richard approached. "Heard you might need a hand with planting." Kate stared. "How did you hear that?" "Small county. Word gets around." Stephen grinned. "Plus Shirley called us last night and told us to show up or she'd make our lives miserable." Shirley didn't deny it. By 9 o'clock there were 8 people in the field. Preparing equipment. Loading seed. Planning the day's work. Kate stood on the porch and watched them. Watched her neighbors transform her impossible task into something manageable. Rachel tugged her sleeve. "Mama, they're waiting for you." Kate walked down, joined them, took her place beside the planter. And for the first time since Thomas died, she felt like she wasn't fighting alone. The planting took 6 days, dawn to dusk. Every person working until their backs ached and their hands blistered. Richard's combine broke down on day 3. Stephen fixed it with parts scavenged from his own equipment. Carol brought food every afternoon. Sandwiches, cookies, thermoses of coffee. Shirley worked the hardest of anyone. Wouldn't stop even when Kate insisted she rest. By the 6th day, the entire 320 acres had been seeded. Kate stood in the field, looked at the dark soil marked with fresh furrows. Imagined the wheat that would rise come spring. Shirley appeared beside her, dirt on her face. Sweat soaking her shirt. "It's done," Kate nodded. Couldn't trust her voice. "You did good, Kate. We did good." "No." Shirley's voice was firm. "You led. We followed." There's a difference. They walked back to the house together, the sun setting behind them, painting the sky orange and pink and gold. Everyone gathered on the porch, exhausted. Satisfied, Carol raised a glass of lemonade to Catherine Clark. And to never giving up, they drank, laughed, shared stories about whose back hurt worst and who'd complained most. As they were leaving, Richard pulled Kate aside. "I don't want payment for the repair work." Kate started to protest. He held up a hand. "Thomas helped me plenty over the years. Never asked for anything in return. Consider this, paying that forward." He climbed in his truck, drove away before she could argue. Stephen was next. "Same goes for me. We're neighbors. This is what we do." One by one they left, until only Shirley and Carol remained. Carol hugged Kate. "You did it. The hard part's over. The hard part's never over on a farm." "True. But the impossible part is, that's something." After they left, Kate and Rachel sat on the porch steps. Too tired to move, Rachel leaned against her mother's shoulder. "Everyone helped us." "Yes, they did. Because you asked? Because I needed it. And they saw that. And they chose to show up." Rachel was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Mama, do you think Mr. Wayne knows what happened here? After he left?" Kate considered. "I don't know. Maybe. Do you think he'd be happy?" "I think he'd say this is what he wanted. For us to keep going, keep the land alive." Rachel nodded, closed her eyes. "I'm glad we didn't lose it. Me too, baby." "Me too." They sat until the stars came out, until the cold drove them inside. Kate locked the door, checked the windows, walked through the house that was truly hers now. In the kitchen, she opened the drawer, pulled out the folded paper from Saturday, unfolded it, read it again in the lamplight. Catherine Clark. Owner, she'd fought, she'd won, and tomorrow she'd wake up and do it all again, because that's what survival looked like. Not a single moment of triumph, but 1,000 small decisions to keep going when everything said to stop. November slipped into December with the kind of cold that made breath visible. The wheat sprouted, green shoots pushing through dark soil, fragile but persistent. Kate checked the fields every morning, walked the rows, pulled weeds that dared appear. Rachel returned to school. The other children stared, whispered, asked questions. "Is it true? John Wayne bought your farm? Did you really meet him? What did he say?" Rachel answered patiently, over and over, until the story became routine. Yes, yes. That her mother fought and he helped. The teachers were kinder, quieter. They'd seen too many children lose their homes to foreclosure. Seeing one keep hers was a gift. In town, people recognized Kate now, nodded, smiled. Sometimes stopped her to say a few words. "Proud of you. Good for you. Keep fighting." She accepted the attention with grace she didn't feel, because attention meant expectations, and expectations meant pressure to succeed. But the wheat kept growing, and that was enough. Christmas arrived with snow, 3 inches overnight. The farm transformed into something clean and quiet. Kate made a small dinner. Chicken, potatoes, carrots from the cellar. Rachel set the table, lit candles, made it feel special despite the simplicity. They ate together, just the two of them, the way it had been since February. After dinner, Rachel pulled a wrapped package from behind her chair. "I made this for you." Kate opened it carefully. Inside was a framed photograph, the picture taken at the auction. Kate standing in the yard, paper in hand, expression caught between disbelief and relief. Below the photo, Rachel had written in careful letters, "Catherine Clark, October 18, 1958. The day she won." Kate's eyes burned. "Rachel, this is?" "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to remember that you can do hard things, even when they seem impossible." Kate set the frame on the table, pulled her daughter into a hug. And for the first time since Thomas died, since the world had cracked open and tried to swallow her whole, Kate felt something that resembled peace. January brought bitter cold, the kind that killed weak wheat and tested strong. Kate walked the fields daily, checked for frost damage, found little. The wheat was holding. She repaired the fence in the east quarter, fixed the gate that had sagged, oiled the windmill that had squeaked. Small tasks, necessary tasks. The kind that kept a farm functional. Rachel helped after school, growing stronger, more capable, less afraid. One afternoon as they worked, Rachel asked, "Mama, do you think we'll make money this year?" Kate hammered a post into frozen ground. "I think we'll break even. Maybe a little more. And next year? Next year will be better. And the year after that, better still." "How do you know?" Kate set down the hammer, looked at her daughter. "Because we're not just surviving anymore. We're building, and building takes time. But it lasts." Rachel nodded, picked up wire, started stringing it between posts. They worked in comfortable silence until the sun touched the horizon. February marked 1 year since Thomas died. Kate woke that morning with a weight in her chest that hadn't been there in weeks. She dressed, made coffee, stood at the window and watched dawn break over land Thomas would never see again. Rachel found her there. "Mama, are you okay?" Kate turned, forced to smile. "I'm fine. You're thinking about Daddy." "Yes." Rachel moved closer, slipped her hand into Kate's. "I miss him too." "I know you do, baby." They stood together, watching light spill across 320 acres. After a while, Kate spoke. "Your daddy would be proud of you, of how strong you've been, how hard you've worked. Would he be proud of you?" Kate's chest tightened. "I hope so. I think he would. I think he'd say you did exactly what needed to be done." Kate squeezed her daughter's hand. "Thank you for that." They spent the day working, not avoiding memory but moving through it, acknowledging the loss while refusing to be paralyzed by it. Evening brought Shirley, then Carol. Both women showed up without being asked. They sat on the porch despite the cold, drank coffee, talked about nothing and everything, about Thomas, about the auction, about the year that had passed. Shirley told stories Kate had forgotten. Moments of Thomas being kind, being funny, being human. Carol added her own memories, small kindnesses he'd shown, and slowly the weight lifted. Not entirely, never entirely, but enough that Kate could breathe again. March arrived with mud and wind and the first real warmth. The wheat surged. Green and thick and healthy. Kate hired 2 men for spring maintenance, paid them with money from Edward Wright's check, watched them repair equipment and clear irrigation ditches. By mid-March, the farm looked better than it had in 2 years. Rachel turned 13. Kate baked a cake, invited Shirley and Carol and their families. They celebrated in the kitchen, crowded and loud and full of life. Rachel blew out candles, made a wish she wouldn't share. Later that night, as Kate tucked her daughter into bed, Rachel spoke quietly. "I wished we'd always have this." "Have what?" "A home, friends, each other." Kate's throat closed. "We will, baby. I promise." "How can you promise that?" "Because I've learned something this year. When you fight for something, really fight, it becomes part of you, and nobody can take that away." Rachel considered this. Is that what Mr. Wayne saw when he helped us? Maybe. Or maybe he just saw a woman who wasn't ready to quit. Are you ever ready to quit now? Kate smiled. Every day. But then I get up anyway, and that's the difference. April brought the kind of rains that made wheat tall and strong. Kate watched the fields transform. The green deepening. The stalks thickening. Harvest would be good. Better than last year. Maybe better than any year since Thomas died. She allowed herself to hope. Not the desperate clawing hope of last October. The quiet, steady kind. The kind built on work and time and proof. One afternoon, a letter arrived. Los Angeles postmark. Expensive paper. Kate opened it carefully. "Mrs. Clark, I hope this letter finds you well. I wanted to follow up on the property transfer and ensure everything has been satisfactory. If you need any further legal assistance, please don't hesitate to contact my office." Martin Keller enclosed was his business card, and a handwritten note on smaller paper. "Mr. Morrison asked me to convey his best wishes. He hopes you and your daughter are thriving." Kate read it 3 times. Then she sat down and wrote a response. "Mr. Keller, please thank Mr. Morrison for his generosity. Because of him, my daughter and I still have our home. We are not just surviving, we are building a life. I will never forget what he did, and I will spend the rest of my days making sure his gift was not wasted. Catherine Clark." She mailed it the next day. Never received a response, didn't need one. May brought heat, and the first signs of ripening wheat. Kate walked the fields with a different feeling now. Not anxiety, Anticipation, this crop would be hers. Truly hers. No debt hanging over it, no bank waiting to claim its share. Every bushel would go toward next year, toward Rachel's future, toward the life they were building. Rachel joined her one evening. The sun low, the wheat golden in slanting light. It's beautiful, Kate nodded. It is. Do you think we'll have enough? More than enough. Rachel smiled, reached out and ran her hand across the wheat tops. I'm glad we didn't leave. Me too, baby. They stood in the field, mother and daughter, surrounded by wheat they'd planted together, that they'd fought to keep. And Kate realized something. She'd spent so long focused on surviving that she'd forgotten what it felt like to live. But this, standing here with Rachel, watching wheat grow on land they owned, this was living, not just existing, not just enduring. Living. The wind shifted, carried the smell of earth and growing things. Kate closed her eyes, breathed it in, and for the first time in more than a year she felt something close to whole. June would bring harvest, July would bring sales, August would bring planning for the next season. But tonight, right now, Kate stood in her field with her daughter and felt grateful for the land, for the fight, for the stranger in a green truck who'd seen something worth saving, for Shirley and Carol and Richard and Stephen, and everyone who'd shown up when she needed them most, for Rachel who'd never stopped believing even when Kate had, and for Thomas, who'd built something worth fighting for in the first place. The sun touched the horizon, painting the sky in shades of fire. Kate turned toward the house, Rachel beside her. They walked together through wheat that whispered in the wind, through land that was theirs, through the life they'd refused to let anyone take away. Harvest came in waves, first the early wheat in the southern quarter, then the middle sections, finally the northern fields where the soil ran deepest and the stalks grew tallest. Kate hired 4 men this time, paid them fair wages from the money she'd saved. Watched them work with a satisfaction that felt almost foreign. No debt meant every bushel belonged to her. Every cent of profit would stay on this land, instead of flowing to some bank vault in Amarillo. The numbers came in better than expected. 5,200 bushels. Price holding at $2.10. $10,920 gross, minus labor, minus fuel, minus wear on equipment, still cleared $7,800. More money than Kate had seen in her life. She deposited it at First National. Edward Wright processed the transaction personally, smiled like he'd done something good instead of just his job. This is excellent, Mrs. Clark. Really excellent. Kate didn't smile back, just took the receipt, left. Outside on the sidewalk, she stood in afternoon heat and let the reality sink in. She'd made it, not just survived, thrived. The farm was profitable. Rachel was healthy. The future looked possible instead of terrifying. Something loosened in her chest. Something that had been clenched tight since February 1958. She walked to Carol's shop, found her friend pinning fabric. I want to place an order. Carol looked up. For what? A dress. For Rachel. Something nice. For her birthday next year. Carol's face softened. Kate, you don't have to do that now. I want to. I want her to have something beautiful. Something that's hers. Not a hand-me-down. Not something from the church donation box. Carol set down her pins. What color? I don't know. Something bright. Something that makes her smile. They spent an hour looking through fabrics, discussing cuts and styles and measurements. When Kate left, she'd ordered a dress in pale yellow with white trim and buttons shaped like daisies. Cost $42. She didn't flinch at the price. August brought oppressive heat. The kind that made fieldwork dangerous after 10 a.m. Kate adjusted. Worked dawn to mid-morning, rested through afternoon. Worked again evening to dusk. Rachel helped more now, stronger, browner, less the scared 12-year-old from last October. And more something else, something harder. More capable. One evening they repaired irrigation pipe in the west quarter, the sun painting clouds orange as it dropped. Rachel wiped sweat from her face. Mama, can I ask you something always? Do you ever think about Daddy? About what he'd say if he could see us now? Kate's hands stilled on the pipe wrench. Every day, what do you think he'd say? Kate considered. I think he'd say we did good, that we kept going when it would have been easier to quit. Would he be surprised that we survived? That you fought so hard? Kate looked at her daughter, saw something in her expression. Doubt, maybe. Or confusion. Why do you ask? Rachel's gaze dropped. Some of the kids at school, they said Daddy would be ashamed, that you let a stranger buy the farm. that you didn't keep it on your own. Heat flooded Kate's face. Not from sun. From rage. What did you tell them? I didn't know what to say. Kate set down the wrench, moved to sit beside Rachel on the dirt. Listen to me. Your daddy fought in a war, saw things no person should see, came home and built this place from nothing. She paused. Let the words settle. He did that because he believed some things were worth fighting for, worth protecting this land. Our family. The life we could build together. Rachel's eyes were wet. She didn't cry, just listened. When he died, I had a choice. I could give up, let the bank take everything. Or I could fight, even when I didn't know how, even when I had no money, even when everyone expected me to fail. Kate's voice grew fiercer. I fought. And when a man saw that and offered to help, I said yes, because saying yes meant you'd still have a home. Still have a future. She gripped Rachel's shoulders. Your daddy wouldn't be ashamed. He'd be proud. Because I did what he would have done. I protected what mattered. Rachel nodded. Tears spilling now. Kate pulled her close. Don't let anyone tell you different. Don't let anyone make you ashamed of what we survived. They sat until the sun disappeared, until the stars emerged. Then they finished the pipe repair in darkness, working by touch and muscle memory. September brought Rachel back to school. 8th grade now, taller, quieter, more self-possessed. Kate drove her the first day. Watched her daughter walk into the building with straight shoulders and lifted chin. Pride swelled, sharp and unexpected. Rachel was becoming someone Thomas would recognize. Someone strong enough to carry forward what he'd started. At home, Kate threw herself into fall planting, prepared the soil, ordered seed, mapped rotation patterns that would keep the land healthy. Kenneth Walker showed up one afternoon in early September. 25 years old, owned a farm 15 miles east. Kate knew him vaguely. Remembered Thomas, mentioning him once or twice. He climbed out of his truck, hat in hands. Expression nervous, Mrs. Clark. I hope I'm not intruding. Kate wiped dirt from her palms. What can I do for you? I heard. About what happened last year. About the auction. About you keeping the farm. Everyone heard. Kenneth shifted weight. I also heard you're doing rotation planting this year. Wheat one season. Legumes the next. I am. That's smart. My father tried that before he passed. Said it kept the soil from wearing out. Kate waited. Let him get to the point. Kenneth cleared his throat. I was wondering, if you needed help, I know crop rotation. Studied it at agricultural college before Daddy died. And I'd like to learn from someone who's making it work. Kate studied him. Tall, broad through shoulders, hands calloused, eyes honest. You want to work for me? I want to learn from you, and help if I can. I won't charge, just. I'd like to see how you do it, Kate considered. Extra hands would be useful, and teaching someone meant solidifying her own knowledge. You can come Tuesdays and Thursdays, after 3. I'll show you what I know. Kenneth's face split into a smile. Thank you, Mrs. Clark. I won't let you down. He showed up that Thursday, on time. Ready to work. Kate taught him about soil testing, about timing legume planting, about reading weather patterns and adjusting accordingly. He absorbed everything, asked smart questions, worked without complaint. By the end of October, he was coming 3 days a week. Rachel noticed. Teased her mother over dinner one night. Mr. Walker sure comes around a lot. Kate's fork paused. He's learning. Uh-huh. Don't start, Rachel. I'm not starting anything. Just noticing. Kate pointed the fork at her daughter. Kenneth is a neighbor. That's all. Rachel grinned. If you say so. Kate threw a napkin at her. They both laughed. But later that night alone in her room, Kate thought about it. Kenneth was kind, hard-working, easy to talk to, and he looked at her sometimes like she was more than just a widow with a farm. She wasn't ready for that. Might never be ready. But it was nice to be seen as something other than a woman to pity. Winter arrived cold and dry. The wheat germinated. Pushed through soil. Looked healthy. Kate walked the fields every morning, sometimes with Rachel, sometimes with Kenneth when he visited. They talked about farming, about market prices, about equipment and techniques. Never about anything personal. Until one afternoon in late November, when Kenneth helped her repair the barn door, they worked in comfortable silence. Hammering, sawing, fitting boards. Then Kenneth spoke. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Do you ever think about moving on? From what happened? From your husband? Kate's hammer stilled. That's a personal question. I know. I'm sorry. I lost my father 3 years ago, and I still feel like I'm waiting for him to walk through the door. Kate set down the hammer. Looked at this young man who'd shown up wanting to learn, and ended up becoming something like a friend. I think about Thomas every day, about what he'd say, what he'd do, how he'd handle problems I'm facing. She paused. But I'm not waiting for him to come back. I know he won't, so I make decisions he'd approve of. And I keep moving forward. Kenneth nodded. Do you think there's room for both? Remembering him and living your own life? I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. Kenneth picked up his hammer. When you do, I hope you'll tell me. Something in his voice made Kate look closer, but his face was neutral. Focused on the door, she returned to work. Didn't push. December brought Rachel's 14th birthday. Kate gave her the yellow dress. Watched her daughter's face transform when she saw it, Mama. It's beautiful. Try it on. Rachel disappeared into her room. Emerged 5 minutes later looking older. Looking like someone ready to step into the world as herself instead of as Kate's daughter. Kate's chest tightened. Perfect, Rachel twirled. The skirt flared. Buttons caught light. Can I wear it to church on Christmas? That's what it's for. Rachel hugged her. Hard. Thank you, Mama. That night after Rachel went to bed, Kate sat in the kitchen with coffee. Looked at the framed photograph on the wall, the one Rachel had given her last Christmas. Catherine Clark. October 18, 1958. The day she won more than the farm that day. She'd won the right to keep fighting, to keep building. To show Rachel that women could be more than victims, that they could stand in yards full of men and refuse to be silent. That they could accept help without shame. That survival wasn't weakness. It was the hardest kind of strength. Christmas Eve brought snow again. Kate and Rachel attended midnight service at Trinity Baptist. Rachel wore the yellow dress. Kate wore the navy one Carol had given her. They sat in a middle pew, surrounded by neighbors who'd witnessed the auction, who'd watched Kate refuse to break. Patricia Wilson sat behind them, leaned forward during a hymn. That dress looks lovely on Rachel. Kate smiled. Thank you, you both look happy, Kate considered. We are, good. You deserve it. After service, Kenneth approached, hat in hands again. Mrs. Clark. Miss Rachel. Merry Christmas. Rachel beamed. Merry Christmas, Mr. Walker. Kenneth pulled a small package from his coat, handed it to Kate. It's just something small. For helping me this year, Kate took it. Surprised. You didn't have to, I wanted to. She opened it carefully. Inside was a leather-bound journal. Empty pages. Soft brown cover, I thought. Maybe you could write down what you know. About farming. About the rotation system. So it doesn't get lost. Kate's throat tightened. Thank you. Kenneth nodded. Backed away. Disappeared into the crowd. Rachel elbowed her mother. See. Kate shook her head, but couldn't stop the small smile. January 1960 arrived bitter and bright. Kate started writing in the journal. Not every day, but often notes about planting times. Soil conditions, weather patterns, equipment maintenance, practical things, useful things, but also other things, thoughts about loss, about fighting, about what it meant to keep going when everything said to stop. She didn't show anyone. Not even Rachel. But writing felt like capturing something important, something worth preserving. February marked 2 years since Thomas died. Kate woke that morning expecting the weight to return, the crushing grief that had defined last year's anniversary. It didn't come. She felt sad, reflective, aware of absence, but not crushed. She dressed, made coffee, walked outside into cold that stung her lungs. The wheat looked strong, taller than last year, healthier. Evidence of work and time and survival. Rachel joined her on the porch. Are you okay? Yes, really? Kate looked at her daughter. 14 now. Nearly as tall as Kate herself. Really. I miss him. I always will. But I'm okay, Rachel nodded. Me too. They stood together, breathing visible, hearts beating, alive in a way that honored the dead without being destroyed by loss. Spring brought rain and warmth and wheat that grew like it had been waiting for this moment. Kenneth increased his visits. 4 days a week now. Sometimes 5. He and Kate worked side by side, planting the rotation crops, monitoring growth, planning harvest. One afternoon in late March, they sat on the tailgate of his truck, drinking water, watching clouds build on the horizon. Kenneth spoke carefully, Mrs. Clark. Can I say something? Kate's stomach tightened. She knew that tone. Go ahead. I've learned more from you in 6 months than I learned in 2 years of college. Glad I could help, but that's not all I want to say. Kate waited. Didn't make it easy for him. Kenneth set down his water, looked at her directly. I admire you. Not just as a farmer, as a person. What you did. Standing up at that auction. Fighting for your home. That took courage I'm not sure I'd have. Kate's chest tightened. Kenneth, I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. I just want you to know. You're remarkable. And I'm grateful I get to know you. Silence stretched between them. Kate chose her words carefully. I'm not ready for anything beyond friendship, I know. I might never be ready. I know that too. Then why tell me? Kenneth smiled, sad but genuine. Because you deserve to know someone sees you. Not as Thomas's widow. Not as the woman John Wayne helped, as Catherine Clark, who's strong and smart and capable all on her own. Kate looked away. Across the fields. Toward the windmill. Thank you for that. You don't have to thank me for telling the truth. He climbed down from the tailgate. I should go. See you Thursday? Thursday, he drove away. Dust trailing behind his truck, Kate sat alone. Processing. Feeling. Not ready. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But it was nice to be reminded she was still a person. Still capable of being seen as something other than a survivor. May brought the kind of growth that promised exceptional harvest. Kate walked the northern quarter at dawn. Wheat chest high, thick. Golden green in early light, this would be the best year yet. She could feel it. Rachel appeared beside her, barefoot, hair tangled from sleep. It's beautiful, Kate nodded. It is. Do you think we'll make more money than last year? I think so. Rachel touched a wheat stalk, watched it spring back. What will you do with it? Save most of it. Repair what needs repairing. Maybe buy better equipment. Can we keep some? For us? Kate smiled. What do you want? Rachel's voice went shy. Books. I want books. Ones that aren't from the school library. Ones that are mine. Kate's heart squeezed. Then we'll buy books. Rachel grinned, hugged her mother. Ran back to the house. Kate stood alone in wheat that whispered in morning breeze. 2 years ago she'd had nothing. No money, no options, no hope. Now she had land, income. A daughter who wanted books instead of worrying about food. The transformation felt almost miraculous. Except it wasn't a miracle. It was work. And time. And refusing to quit. And yes, help from a stranger who'd seen something worth saving. But mostly it was her. Catherine Clark. Who'd stood in that yard and bid $100 she didn't have. Who'd fought when fighting seemed pointless. Who'd survived when survival seemed impossible. She was proud of that. Fiercely, unapologetically proud. June brought harvest, better than last year. Better than any year Kate could remember. 6,100 bushels. Price at $2.15. $13,115 gross. After expenses she cleared $9,200. Numbers that made her dizzy. She deposited the money. Opened a separate savings account for Rachel's future. Put $3,000 in it. Then she drove to the bookstore in Amarillo, told Rachel to pick whatever she wanted. Rachel's eyes went wide. Anything? Anything. Her daughter moved through the aisles like someone in a dream, pulling books, reading back covers, stacking them carefully. By the time she finished, she had 12 books. Various genres, various topics. Kate paid without hesitation, carried the bag to the truck. Rachel clutched the bag like treasure. Thank you, Mama, you earned it. Helping me. Working hard. Being strong. I learned from you. Kate's throat closed. Then I did something right. They drove home in comfortable silence. Rachel already reading the first book at the house Kate parked. But didn't get out immediately. Just sat, watching her daughter devour words. Watching the future unfold in real time. This was what fighting was for. Not just survival. But moments like this. Moments that proved life could be more than struggle. That it could be books and yellow dresses and wheat that grew tall. That it could be good. July brought oppressive heat and planning for winter planting. Kenneth helped. More partner now than student. They worked well together. Anticipating each other's needs. Communicating efficiently. One evening, after a long day, he lingered, standing near his truck. Not quite ready to leave, Mrs. Clark. Kate wiped sweat from her neck. Kate. You can call me Kate. His eyebrows lifted. Kate. After 8 months of working together, I think we're past formalities. Kenneth smiled. Kate, I wanted to ask. Would you consider having dinner with me? Not here, in town. At the diner, Kate's stomach flipped. Kenneth, I know you're not ready, you've said that. But I thought, maybe, as friends, we could have a meal that isn't eaten standing up in a field. Kate studied his face. Open, hopeful, patient, as friends? As friends? I promise, she considered. Part of her wanted to say no, to keep boundaries clear, to avoid complications. But another part, a part that had been dormant for 2 years, That part wanted to say yes, all right, as friends. But I'm paying for my own meal, Kenneth laughed. I expected nothing less. They arranged it for Saturday, 6 p.m. The diner on Main Street. Kate told Rachel that evening over dinner. Rachel's face lit up. Mama, that's wonderful. It's just dinner. It's more than just dinner. It's dinner between friends. Rachel grinned. Whatever you say. Saturday arrived too fast and too slow simultaneously. Kate changed clothes 3 times. Settled on a simple skirt and blouse. Nothing fancy. Nothing that sent the wrong message. She drove to town alone. Parked near the diner. Sat in the truck for 5 minutes convincing herself this was fine. Inside, Kenneth already waited. Sitting in a booth near the window. He stood when she entered. Kate. You look nice. Thank you. They sat. Ordered. Talked about safe things. Farming. Weather. Market predictions. Halfway through the meal, Kenneth set down his fork. Can I ask you something? Kate tensed. Okay, what was it like? Standing there at the auction. Bidding against Donald Harris. Kate hadn't expected that question. Terrifying. But you did it anyway. I didn't have a choice. If I'd stayed silent, if I'd just watched, I would have hated myself forever. Kenneth nodded. That makes sense. Why do you ask? Because I think about courage a lot. About what it means. About whether I'd have the guts to do what you did. Kate met his eyes. You would. When it mattered. When it was something you loved. You'd fight. I hope so. They finished eating. Split the check despite Kenneth's protests. Walked outside into evening that had cooled slightly. Kenneth walked her to her truck. Thank you for this. Thank you for asking. Can we do it again? Kate hesitated, then nodded. As friends, he waited until she drove away before getting into his own vehicle. Kate drove home with a strange lightness in her chest. Not romance. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But connection. The reminder that she was more than just a mother. More than just a farmer. That she was Catherine Clark, who could have dinner with a man and laugh and exist as herself. August brought Rachel's preparations for high school. Supplies, books, new clothes. Kate bought everything without hesitation. Watched her daughter grow more excited and more nervous simultaneously. What if I don't fit in? Kate brushed hair from Rachel's face. You'll fit in. What if people still talk about us? About what happened? Let them talk. Their opinions don't change who you are. Rachel nodded, but doubt lingered in her eyes. First day of school arrived. Kate drove her. Walked her to the entrance. Rachel turned at the door. Mama, thank you. For everything. Kate's vision blurred. Go learn something. Rachel disappeared inside. Kate stood on the sidewalk, watching the doors close, feeling both pride and loss. Her daughter was becoming someone independent. Someone who wouldn't need her mother forever. Which was the goal. Which was what good parenting looked like. But it still hurt. September brought cooler temperatures and fall planting. Kenneth helped almost full-time now. His own farm running smoothly enough that he could spare the hours. They worked. They laughed. They shared meals on the porch. Slowly, carefully. Something shifted between them. Not romance, not yet. But possibility. The acknowledgement that maybe, someday, there could be more. Kate didn't push, didn't rush, let it unfold naturally. Because rushing meant risking. And risking meant potential loss. She'd lost enough. October arrived with the kind of beauty that made Kate's chest ache. 3 years since the auction. 3 years since John Wayne appeared in a green truck and changed everything. Kate stood in the yard, looking at the windmill, the house, the barn, all still standing. Rachel appeared beside her, 15 now, tall, confident. What are you thinking about? Kate smiled. About how far we've come. Do you ever regret it? Accepting help from Mr. Wayne? Never. That help meant you got to grow up here. Meant we got to build this life. Rachel leaned against her mother. I'm glad we stayed. Me too, baby. They stood together, watching clouds move across October's sky. And Kate thought about John Wayne. Wondered where he was, what he was doing. Wondered if he knew what his $50,000 had created. Not just a saved farm, but a life rebuilt, a daughter thriving. A woman who'd learned she was stronger than she ever imagined. She hoped he knew. Hoped somehow the universe had shown him. Because his gift had been more than money. It had been belief. The statement that some things were worth saving. That some people deserved a second chance. And Kate had taken that chance. Had built something beautiful from near ruin. She'd fought. And won. And kept winning. Every day, every decision. Every moment she chose to keep going instead of giving up. That was the real victory. Not the auction, not the money, but the choice to keep living fully instead of merely surviving. Kate pulled Rachel closer, kissed the top of her head. "Come on, we've got work to do." They walked toward the fields together, mother and daughter, partners in survival. The wheat waited, the land waited, the future waited, and Kate was ready for all of it. June 11, 1979. 21 years later, the heat hit like a wall when Kate stepped out of the air-conditioned courthouse. 75 years old now. Hair silver, face-lined, back slightly bent from decades of fieldwork, but still standing, still here. Rachel walked beside her. 41 now. 3 children of her own. Married to Kenneth Walker for 17 years. They'd bought Kenneth's family farm and combined it with Kate's land. 640 acres now. One of the largest operations in Potter County. Kate had fought that merger at first. Wanted to keep the original 320 separate. Sacred Rachel had been patient, gentle, insistent. "Mama, we're not erasing what you built, we're expanding it, making it stronger." Kate had eventually agreed. Signed the papers, watched her daughter take over management, let go of control inch by painful inch. Today's courthouse visit was different though. Final papers. Estate planning, making sure everything was properly arranged. Kate's lawyer, a young woman named Amanda Foster, led them to a small office. "Mrs. Clark, Mrs. Walker, everything's in order. The trust is established. The property passes directly to Rachel and her children. No probate, no complications." Kate nodded, signed where indicated. Her hand shook slightly, not from emotion, from age, from 75 years of living. Amanda handed her copies. "Is there anything else you need?" Kate hesitated, then spoke. "I want to add something. A letter. To be opened after I'm gone." Amanda pulled out fresh paper. "Of course. Dictate when you're ready." Kate looked at Rachel. Her daughter nodded, squeezed her hand. Kate began. "To whoever reads this. My name is Catherine Clark. On October 18, 1958, I stood in my yard and watched strangers gather to take my home. I had no money, no options, no reason to hope." She paused, collected thoughts, "But I stood up anyway. Bid $100 I didn't have. Refused to be silent while men decided my fate." Amanda's pen moved across paper. "A man I'd never met saw that. Saw something worth helping. He paid $15,000 to save a farm, to save a future, to save me and my daughter." Kate's voice grew stronger. "His name was John Wayne, Marion Morrison. He never asked for thanks, never wanted recognition, just wanted us to keep fighting." She looked at Rachel, at her daughter's face, at evidence of time and work and love. "We kept fighting. We built something here. Something that lasted. Something that will continue after I'm gone." Another pause. "Longer. If you're reading this, you're probably family. Probably someone who came after me, who inherited this land." Kate's eyes burned. "Don't take it for granted. Don't forget what it cost. Don't forget that women can fight, can win, can build empires from ash." She cleared her throat. "And don't forget to help someone when you see them fighting. Because that's what John Wayne did for me. That's what changed everything." She nodded to Amanda. "That's all." Amanda finished writing. "Read it back." Kate approved. The letter was sealed, filed with the estate documents. Outside the courthouse, Rachel helped Kate down the steps. "That was beautiful, Mama." Kate waved a hand. "It's the truth, I know. That's what makes it beautiful." They drove through Amarillo, past the diner where Kate and Kenneth had their first meal together 19 years ago. Past Carol's dress shop. Carol had died in 1975. Heart attack. Quick and painless. Shirley was still alive. 83. Living with her daughter in Oklahoma City. They spoke on the phone every Sunday. At the farm Rachel parked near the house. The original structure still stood. Expanded now. Additions for Kenneth and the children. But the core remained. Kate's granddaughter Amanda, 17, named after Kate's middle name, sat on the porch reading. She looked up, smiled. "Grandma, did everything go okay?" Kate climbed the steps carefully. "Everything's fine, sweetheart." Amanda stood, helped Kate into the rocking chair, the same one Thomas had built in 1943. Kate settled, looked across the fields. The wheat had been harvested 2 weeks ago. Good yield. Strong prices. The farm thrived, would continue thriving after she was gone. Amanda sat beside her. "Grandma, can I ask you something?" "Always. Mom told me about the auction, about John Wayne, about what happened." Kate nodded. "Waited, do you think he knew how much it mattered? What he did?" Kate rocked slowly. Considered. "I think he knew it mattered. Maybe not how much, but he knew. Did you ever thank him?" "I wrote him a letter once, through his lawyer. Never heard back. That must have bothered you. Kate smiled at first, but then I realized he didn't want thanks. He wanted me to succeed. To prove his investment was worth it, she gestured at the fields. I did that. We did that. That's the thank you he wanted. Amanda was quiet. Then, I want to be like you when I'm old. Kate laughed. Actually laughed. I'm not a role model, honey. Yes, you are. You fought when everyone said you'd lose. You didn't quit. I didn't have a choice. You did. You could have walked away, moved to town, found work. But you stayed. You fought. Kate looked at her granddaughter, saw herself at that age, saw determination and fire and refusal to bend, then fight for what matters. Don't let anyone tell you what you can't do. And when someone offers to help, say yes. Pride is expensive. Help is precious. Amanda nodded, absorbing. They rocked together, grandmother and granddaughter, connected by land and blood and stubbornness. That night, Kate lay in bed. The same bed she'd shared with Thomas. The same room where Rachel was conceived eluded her. Too many memories pressing close. She rose, walked to the kitchen, made tea, sat at the table where she'd signed so many documents, where she'd cried so many tears, where she'd planned so many strategies. The frame photograph still hung on the wall. Catherine Clark, October 18, 1958. The day she won. She looked older in that photo, more worn, more desperate, but also stronger somehow, more alive. Kate stood, walked to the window, looked out at the windmill. Moonlight painted it silver. The blades turned slowly in night breeze. That windmill had been there through everything. Thomas building it, Frank dying, the auction, the rebuilding. It would be there after Kate died too. Evidence of permanence in a world of change. She finished her tea, walked back to bed, slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. October 18, 1981. 23 years to the day, Kate woke feeling strange. Not sick, not well, just different, like something had shifted in the night. She dressed slowly, made coffee, walked outside into cool autumn air. The field stretched before her, empty now, waiting for winter planting. She walked to the spot where the auction had happened, where Gary Young's truck had been, where Donald Harris had stood, where John Wayne had appeared like an answer to a prayer she hadn't known how to pray. Kate stood there, remembering, feeling, and she spoke aloud, to the air, to the memory, to the ghost of a moment that had changed everything. Thank you for seeing me, for believing I was worth saving, for giving me the chance to prove everyone wrong. The wind picked up, stirred her hair, carried her words away. She smiled, turned, walked back to the house. Rachel was there, worried. Mama, you shouldn't be out here alone. I'm fine, you look tired. Kate nodded. I am tired, but it's a good tired. The kind that comes from living fully. She sat on the porch, Rachel beside her. They watched the sun rise together, gold light spilling across land that belonged to them, that would belong to Rachel's children, and their children. Forever. Kate closed her eyes, breathed deep and felt peace complete. Total, unshakable peace. She'd done it, survived, thrived, built something that would outlast her. That was enough. More than enough. That was everything. November 18, 1981. Catherine Clark died in her sleep. No pain, no struggle. Just a quiet slipping away. Rachel found her in the morning, peaceful, almost smiling. The funeral was held at Trinity Baptist, the same church where she'd married Thomas, where she'd celebrated Rachel's wedding, where she'd attended Christmas services for 39 years. 300 people came, more than could fit in the building. They overflowed into the parking lot, stood in cold November wind, listened to speakers through open doors. Rachel spoke, voice shaking but strong. My mother taught me that fighting isn't about winning. It's about refusing to accept defeat. It's about standing up when everyone expects you to fall. She paused, composed herself. She showed me that women can be more than what the world tells them. That we can own land, run businesses, build empires. Tears streamed. She didn't wipe them, but most of all, she taught me that accepting help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And that gratitude means living well. Proving the help was worth it. She looked at the casket, at the woman who'd given her everything. Thank you, Mama, for fighting, for surviving. For to keep strong. Catherine Clark, 1904 to 1981. She fought. She won. She never quit. March 15, 1982. Amanda Foster, Kate's lawyer, called Rachel. I'm going through the final estate documents, and I found something. A letter your mother wanted sent. But not to you. Rachel's brow furrowed. To who? To John Wayne, Marion Morrison. care of his production company. Rachel's breath caught. What does it say? I can't read it. It's sealed. But she left instructions to send it after her death. Do I have your permission? Rachel didn't hesitate. Yes, send it. April 3, 1982. The letter arrived at Batjack Productions in Newport Beach, California. John Wayne had died 3 years earlier. June 1979. Cancer. But the company still operated, his children running it, keeping his legacy alive. His son Patrick opened the letter. Read it. Called his siblings. They read it together. Their father's strange act of kindness from 1958. The woman who'd fought. The land that had been saved. Patrick made a decision. May 20, 1982. Rachel received a package. Thick. Heavy. Inside was a letter. Typed on Batjack. Letterhead, Mrs. Walker. Your mother's letter reached us after our father's death. But we wanted you to know. We read it. We were moved by it. And we wanted to share something with you. In 1958, our father helped your mother. He never spoke of it. We only learned the details from your mother's letter. But we found something in his papers. A journal entry from October 1958. We're enclosing a copy. Rachel's hands trembled as she pulled out the photocopy. Marion Morrison's handwriting neat. Careful. October 19, 1958. Drove through Texas yesterday. Stopped at an auction. Saw a woman bidding on her own farm with money she clearly didn't have. Bidding anyway. Refusing to quit. I thought about Tom. About the friend I lost in 44. About how he wanted to come home and farm. How he never got that chance. This woman's husband did come home, did build something, and she was fighting to keep it. I couldn't walk away. Couldn't let her lose when she'd fought so hard, so I bid, and I bought, and I gave it back to her. People will think I'm crazy, spending $15,000 on sentiment. Maybe I am. But I've played heroes my whole life. Pretended to be brave. Pretended to fight for what's right. Yesterday I got to do it for real. Got to save something that mattered. Worth every cent. Rachel read it 3 times. Crying, laughing, overwhelmed. Her mother had fought. John Wayne had helped. And both of them had known, had understood, had recognized the sacredness of the moment. She called her children. Read them the letter, told them the story again, made sure they understood, made sure they knew this land was more than dirt and wheat. It was proof that fighting mattered, that help mattered, that women could stand against the world and win. June 11, 2024, present day, Amanda Clark Walker, Kate's great-granddaughter, stood in the same spot where Kate had stood 66 years ago, 23 years old, agricultural degree from Texas Tech. Ready to take over management from her father. The farm had grown to 1,200 acres now, one of the most successful operations in the Panhandle. But the original 320 remained sacred, separate, special. Amanda looked at the windmill, still standing, still turning. In her pocket was a copy of Kate's letter and John Wayne's journal entry. She read them both regularly, reminders of where she came from, what she represented. A man approached, her boyfriend James. Also a farmer, from a family 3 counties over. You ready? Amanda nodded. Almost. She pulled out her phone, opened the voice recorder, began speaking. My name is Amanda Clark Walker. I'm the great-granddaughter of Catherine Clark, the woman who stood in this spot in 1958 and refused to quit. She looked at the fields. I'm standing here today because she fought, because John Wayne helped, because my grandmother Rachel continued, because my father Brian expanded. Her voice grew stronger. And I'm standing here to make a promise. This land will never be sold, never be abandoned, never be forgotten, because some things are worth fighting for. And this is one of them. She stopped recording, sent the file to her siblings, to her cousins, to everyone who shared this legacy. James put his arm around her. Your great-grandmother would be proud, Amanda smiled. I hope so. They walked back to the house together, the same house Kate had almost lost, that Rachel had expanded, that Brian had modernized. On the kitchen wall hung 3 frames now. The original photograph from 1958. Kate standing with the deed, a second photograph from 1981. Kate at 75, still strong, still here. And a third, added just last year. All 4 generations together. Kate, Rachel, Brian, Amanda, proof that fighting mattered, that help mattered, that women could build empires that lasted. Amanda touched each frame, a blessing, a promise, a prayer. Then she walked outside into Texas sun and got to work. Because that's what you did when you inherited something sacred. You honored it, protected it, passed it forward. You kept fighting, always.
Ich glaube, die spielen das allgemein sehr langsam.
Yes. Mach mal nur Jump Peak hier. Mein Main.
Wenn sie hier kommen, habe ich's.
Ja, okay, dann guck ich wieder hier.
Viper-Spot in Mitte.
Ich mach mal die Wall hoch, so als Fake, dass vielleicht einer durchgeht.
Toxin screen down.
Sehe nix hier. Ist brutal ruhig. Könnten B explodieren.